Now we're going to talk about circumference and pi. So we know that a circle is a smooth curve where every point is the same distance to the center. Oh, why isn't this writing? Oops. Okay. Come on, circle. Okay. And so the distance from the center of the circle, from the center to the circle, is the radius. The distance all the way across the circle is the diameter. And the distance around the circle is the circumference. Oops. That goes all the way around. Okay, so diameter is 2 times the radius, right? It's just double that, double this, right? Okay, so how many diameters? We want to know how many diameters. Uh-oh. Well, okay, we want to know how many diameters equal a circumference. And so mathematicians looked at this for a long time, and they figured out that the amount is about here. It's about 3 1/7, or 22/7, or 3.14. So that's how many diameters are needed to equal the circumference. So it's not the exact number, but we use, so for this, these are approximations of pi, which is a constant because this number never changes. It's not a variable like x or y, because those answers, if you're looking for them, those can change, but pi is a constant. And if you're using a calculator, usually there's a button for that. For these examples, I'll tell you whether to use pi, 3.14, or 22/7, because the digits after the decimal can vary. They can't vary. It depends on how many you want to use after that decimal. Since it's a very long number. So let's go back to circumference. So now we can write the circumference of a circle is equal to pi times diameter, which we know that diameter is also 2 times the radius, so you could also put it in that form, pi times 2, times the radius. Those will give you the same thing, and that's because the pi is from all of the mathematicians investigating how many diameters. So that's why it's pi times d, that's how many diameters. and we know that 2 times the radius is the diameter. So this also gives us the circumference around the circle. Okay, so now we can do examples for finding the circumference. So let's do that. We want to know what the circumference is if the radius equals 9 centimeters. So we just plug that in. So we have C equals pi times, so we need the diameter, which is times 2 times the radius, which is 9. So 2 times 9 is 18. And so some people just have you leave it as 18 pi. You can put this into the calculator. I don't know where that button is on here. Give me 1 second. Oh, here it is. Okay, so 18 times pi. So that's going to give us 56.54886. So I'm just going to round that to 55. So that's the approximate solution if we use the pi button. So now let's do another one. Let's find the circumference of each circle, right? Here's one. Let's say the diameter here is 15 inches. And then let's do this one. Oh, that did an oval. Whoops. Let's do this one as 6 feet. And let's do this one as these are all diameters, right? Let's do this one as 5 centimeters. So for this one, we're going to use 3.14. For this one, we'll use 22/7. And for this one, we'll use the pi button. Let's do A, B, and C. Okay. So we're finding the circumference. So for the first one, we know we're using 3.14 for pi, and we know the diameters of all of these, so we don't have to multiply 2 times anything. So it's just that times 15 inches. So that's going to give us 47.1 inches. This one is going to be 22/7 times 6 feet. Right? Which that's going to give us 18.86 feet. And this one's going to be pi times 5 centimeters, which is going to give us 15.71 centimeters. On this one, we could have also just left the answer as 5 pi centimeters. So this is all for this lesson. All right, thank you.